All right, we've got that started, and I am going to share my screen, and we will get started there. All right. You slideshow from beginning. All right. Oh, can folks see that? Can I get a thumbs up from somebody?
Yes.
Great, thank you. All right, so you are at the 2027 FY27. I know it's currently 2026, but we do all of our grants for the coming fiscal year. So the FY7 Arts and Humanities Fellowship Grant Program. This is our grant for artists, and we'll go through it today. So just a little housekeeping. I do have some spots in here for Q&A, but for the most part, really appreciate we're muted for most of the presentation. We will have some time where you can hop off mute and ask questions. We do have a window. If you have questions as they come up, please feel free to write your question in chat. I'll try to answer those as well as they come up. Keep going. One of my colleagues, Robert Nunez, is also here, and I'm going to ask him to keep the chat just in case anything comes up that we really need to address. All right, so we will get started. We like to start all of our public meetings with a land acknowledgement, recognizing the Nacotchtank and Piscataway people, the first residents of the Land District of Columbia. Every community owes its existence and vitality to around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to make history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will. Some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better. And some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth, acknowledgement, critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to acknowledge what has been buried by honoring the truth. We stand ancestors of the Nacotchtank and the Piscataway people. We pay respects to their elders past and present. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us together here today. And please join us in uncovering such truths at any and all public events and to use such truths to guide the legacy of this Arts Commission. All right. As I said, we do have a chat window. Please utilize it, drop questions in there's so if you have any questions like when is the due date, how do I upload my samples, refresh my memory on anything, that's where that would go. All right, so let's dive in. So a couple things we're going to do today here in this workshop. We're going to welcome all of you. We've done that. Welcome. We'll do a little bit of a program overview. We're going to do an application overview, a little bit of navigating the application, and then we'll dive into no, I'm going to decline that. Narrative questions, the scoring criteria, work uploads, documents, and questions. We'll go through here. So this is the Arts and Humanities Fellowship Program. This program, or AHFP, it's an annual grant given to artists to support their work in humanities. This is for individual artists. It's not for organizations. And it's going to be really important as we go through this. One of the things that comes up a lot as a question is, can this be paid to an LLC? It cannot. It cannot be paid to an organization or to your personal artistic LLC. It has to be paid to the individual. But anybody who can apply are DC-based, you need to be a DC resident, arts and humanities individual above the age of 18. So an artist living resident in DC. The awards are a flat amount for most awardees. We endeavor to award as many grantees as we can. And just as a reference point for the current cycle of FY26, the award amount was mostly $7,000. Need to have a specific project? You do not. There is no specific project required. We're not going to add in the application. You don't have to have a specific plans. You don't have to tell us what the money is going to be used for or anything like that. It's really just your work. This is an open grant for recipients, and you may use the funds if you are awarded however you need to support your artistic practice. So you can tell me that you need to buy some new equipment for your photography or for recording, and that is so great. Great. I love that. I don't need that in the application. Do not need that information in the application. It's great to know. I'm glad you have a plan. It's not a required piece of this. So a couple of important dates here. The application is open now. It opened on Friday, June 5th, and it will close on Tuesday, July 7th at 5 p.m. Incomplete or late applications or that don't may be deemed ineligible for review and funding. After the applications close, we do go through everything, we do vet everything. Some folks will have us reach out because we need to get ready. Prospective applicants should read through the request for applications, our RFA, completely before submitting an application. You can find that on our website. Applicants must be up to date with reporting requirements for prior CAH grants. If you're not sure of status, please contact a grant manager. This is something we're really pushing, is making sure we be up to date on all of our reporting needs. So if you have a prior grant with us, maybe you received an FY25 award or an FY24 award, you may have us coming asking for that report if we don't have it on file. We're going to try and act on that pretty strictly this year. We also have if you are a current recipient, we will for a report later in the summer. Do get that in. Stay tuned for emails from us. Are eligible and everything is good. You will submit one application for this program accessible from our website. You have to have that in by 5 p.m. Eastern Time on July 7th. And then all applications are reviewed and scored by a panel of arts professionals. So just a little bit more about the eligibility requirement. An artist, arts professional, or humanities practitioner, at least 18 years of age. We want you to be a DC Columbia or District resident for at least 1 year prior to the submission deadline. You need to have a per DC address as listed on your ID, your tax returns, your bills, whatever it's going to be. We accept PO boxes as a permanent address. But if you are in any kind of housing instability at the moment, please come and talk to us. We don't want that to become a barrier for application. If you have a personal situation, reach out to staff so we can work with you. And we do want you to maintain DC residency during the entire fiscal year. So that'll be October of 2026 through September of 2027. Be in good standing with CAH. What that most did on your reports, which I just mentioned. And be current on all taxes and liabilities owed to the district or have an approved plan, as demonstrated by the Certificate of Clean Hands. We'll talk more about that in a bit, but for things like clean hands and the address, if you have any uncertainty or concerns about that, do reach out to us so we can work. So this is our Arts and Humanities Fellowship Program. A lot of us. This is a large program. This is one of our largest programs that we offer here at the Commission. And so there are a lot of us you can talk to. I am Carrie. I am the primary point of contact for this grant. I'm going to drop my email in the chat as well. So if you have general questions or anything like that, you can reach out to me. If I'm not the best person to talk to about your specific program or artistic practice, don't worry, we've got plenty of other folks around. I am also the point of contact for dance. So if you are a dancer, reach out to me. We can talk. We also have our other categories, design and craft arts and go-go artists. We'll be talking to Patience Rowe, humanities to Kayla Williams, interdisciplinary artists with Tanya Myers, media artists to Mauricio Pita, music, who's hanging out in chat, teaching artists to Andrea Brown, theater and performing arts, visual arts to Benjamin Wills. If you are a returning applicant, these are probably the people already talking to, so, reach out to them. But if you are new to the program, if you got anything or you have any general questions, feel free to reach out to me. All right. And then just a quick note on accessibility. On our website, we do have Google Translate. So in the top right-hand corner of our website at dcarts.gov, there's a Google Translate button that will provide a rough translation of all of our web pages. If you have any reasonable accommodation requests regarding access and inclusion, do reach out to us at the caccessibility@dc.gov no later than 5 business days before the start of an event or during this application process. At any time, if you have questions, you can reach. If you are having any issues with the application or you need some kind, do reach out to us so we can see what we can offer. Great. And then just a general pitch. We do need grant review panelists. We have an open application right now. Panelists are integral to the grant making process. We do seek diversity in all forms, sexual orientation, discipline, location, etc. You cannot review your own cohort if you are, let's say, all examples always go out of my head immediately as soon as I hit a section. If you are applying for something like teaching artists and you are a teaching artist and feel very strongly about your identity there, you do have a lot of experience in music, in visual art, use you as a panelist for those cohorts. Or if you want to apply right now, our projects, events, and festivals and other grants that are looking to lock in reviewers. So it's an option. All right, any questions so far? A lot is really standard informational. All right. Slide into that question space. All right, so the application itself. We're going to ask for a couple things here. There's a couple of major categories, some applicant information. We're going to want your name, your address, the ward you live in. Pretty basic standard stuff there. Got 3 short answer narrative questions, and then we have our work samples. Each discipline has some recommended work samples. You'll find that in the guide to grants based on your discipline. But roughly speaking, we're looking for 10 images or 2 5-minute audios or around 15 pages of written documents or a reasonable mix of different forms. So you have things, well, I have 5 still images I'm doing, but I have this 3-minute walkthrough video of an installation. That's a perfectly reasonable mix. We would take that. If you do have any questions about any of that, that's what we're here for, to ask those questions. And then some required documentation. These are compliance documents that we need eligibility and also award processing if you are awarded. One of the first things you'll do here is you're going to select your cohort. We use the word cohort to refer to this, and what this really means is that we organize our applicants into 10 disciplines for the purposes of paneling. So this is how we determine the folks in the room who review your work. We want you to select from one of the following categories that best represent discipline and how you want to think about this in terms of who are the experts looking at your work. So they're the same categories we had before: dance, craft and design arts, go-go artists, humanities arts, multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary, sorry, I need to edit that one, media arts, music, teaching artists, theater and performing arts, and visual arts. If you have any questions about where you fit or where your work might fit, this is what we're here to talk about. If you have any questions or we feel is off, you can get a couple of us in the room. We'll talk about your work with you. So if you are unsure of which discipline to choose, you might want to look at things like your whole application. Look at your artist statement, your work samples, your support plan to upload. What are those looking like? Is it a series of images? Is it an experiential thing? How are people engaging with your work? And then you're going to choose a category that best reflects your artist statement, your work samples, and your support materials. And again, if you're unsure, contact a grant manager. More than once, we have received applications where we've read through the whole thing and we've said, I really don't think you belong in the category you applied to. And if that happens, we will reach out to you and say, this is really not exactly where we think you fit. We think you fit better over in a different category. We've had folks, uh, it's very much a case by case basis. Does not happen often, but it has happened in the past. But if you do have any questions about that, do reach out to us. And I got a couple of questions here in the chat already. Let me comment. Some required responses in the application, your name. And this is going to be as it appears on your official tax documents, your W-9, anything like government name. We're going to want to know if you have applied for a grant within the past 5 years and if you've received a grant in the past 5 years. Both of those are just informational questions. Has your address changed in the past 12 months? Are you planning to move in the next 12 months? We just need to know if this has happened. We need to get your address updated in a few places. And then we've got our narrative section. We do recommend that you compose your answers in another program and then cut and paste the text into the grant portal. And that's going to be your artist statement, the work statement, and the community statement. So the artist statement is going to be, why do you do that? What you do? Why? The work statement is, what practice do you do? What is the work? And the statement is, why are you a DC artist? Why have you chosen DC? What makes a DC artist? So just to dive a little bit deeper into those questions, the artist, we're looking to get a picture of who are you as an applicant? What is the passion that drives you? How did you come to this art? So we have a couple of recommendations here. Use direct and concise language. Avoid jargon. Your work is being read by community members that may come from a different background than you. This is not a bio. This is your artist statement. This is going to be about the creative under your work. And then make sure your artist matches your work samples. That's one of the things where folks sometimes get tripped up is, a statement will tell us about, the deep personal connection and neighborhood and all the work that you do there and all of the things that have front door. And then the work samples are completely disjointed from. But you want to think about making sure your samples and your artist statement jive together. And then, give us a sense of what your work is and what drives you and your passion. You also have your work statement. This is going to be clarifying your work samples to the panelists. This is the chance to discuss your work in context. So explain what your work actually is in small terms. This might be the materials you're working with. This might be about the process you approach anything. Underscoring why your work is important. Also great to sometimes give us guidance on how to experience the work and how to view it, especially if you have a practice that is really innovative or really niche. Sometimes we need a little help understanding the work value that you're doing. Your statement and your work samples are going to demonstrate capabilities within your chosen discipline. And then the sample should match your cohort and your artist statement. And then our final question, our final narrative is the highlighting culture and community question. This is discussing how your work as an artist reflects or engages with cultural practice, community, or tradition. You want to demonstrate your personal or professional impact in the DC arts and humanities community. So the exact tab here is going to be a 300 first-person statement that situates your practice within DC. We want to know more about your community, the work you responds to, the needs your work responds to, how your programming is accessible and inclusive to audiences. But really here, think about is what makes you a representative and a vital member of the arts community. It makes you a DC artist when you are at home and when you're away. If you are, we know that sometimes takes us very far from home. But when you are on the other side of the world, still a DC artist, what does that mean? And how did you or why did you choose DC or how did DC choose you? And just a reminder, because this does come up, your work does not need to explicitly be about DC. It does not have to be, an explicit, this is DC-centric work. Just think about how you are a representative of DC as an artist. And so a tip for these narrative sections, don't overthink it. This application is about you. We want to know who you are. We want to hear your voice. Take some time on these, practice it, give yourself some time to review it and edit your work. Have someone else your work and see what they think. Really think about your statements with criteria and then be thoughtful. And again, give yourself the time. We've got a month until the deadline, so you've got some time to think about things. All right, I saw some questions come up. So one we had was, I write stories, essays, and reflections on DC identity, resilience, and DC culture. It comes in different formats like audio, essays, and short stories, but written with the same voice and worldview. Would humanities and literary arts be the strongest panel fit? Based on that description, humanities and literary arts would probably be the cohort we would recommend. Audio is always something of an interesting thing. If we were talking about something like podcasts, we might direct you towards media. So it's really going to depend on the samples that we're using. But as described, that would be a humanities or literary art. We had a question. If I've written a grant for an that was awarded, yes, I've received a grant. This is a separate category. It's really, yes, you can answer yes, that would be correct. But if you are go ahead and answer yes. We might do a little bit of cross-checking. This is really, like I said, an informational question. The number of audio work samples has been reduced from 2 to 3. Do you have some specifics within the guide to grants, so please take a look at them. We'll talk more about sizes in a moment. Should I include volunteer work in the community statement? You can. That's a great place to put community work and volunteer work into the community statement. And then are all the statements 300 words? No, they are not. The artist statement and I believe, are 400 words. But we'll have all of those in the grant. I don't always have all the numbers memorized. Is this a grant who has created a theater project but need funding to produce it? It's going to be closer to the projects, events, festivals grant. But this grant can be used for that. This is an individual award grant that would be can be used however you need it to. Has the songwriting subcategory been deleted from the music category? No, it has not been. We still have songwriting in all of our and can students from DC institutions apply? As students need to be DC resident, for at least 1 year, and they need to remain DC residents for the year that they are here. So that's going to be part of that. Let's talk about some of the application uploads. So these are going to be some application documents that we're looking at. So we're going to want an artistic resume, a vitae, an artist biography. So I said the artist statement was not a biography. You can have one. Your work samples, support materials, your proof of residency, and a certificate of clean hands. So for the resume, the CV, or the bio, we're not asking for all three, we're asking for one. What we're looking for here is of artistic or humanities work. That style of that format is going to depend on the general practice of your area of work. If you are mostly writing, if you're, a performer and you've mostly got the headshot resume, fantastic, let's do that. If you are usually submitting a short bio with your, when you're applying to a show or anything like that, let's see if you have a CV because you have a lot of, usually a lot of activities. Yeah, let's use that. It's whatever you need. We want record of your professional experiences and artistic achievements. If you don't have one of these ready to go, um, let's use a list of projects completed by the applicant within the last 3 years. If you have a longer resume, that's fine. You can have 23 years of work included on a resume, but if you don't have one ready to go, let's focus on the 3 years. And then that's not true. You may not upload an introduction video. So let me get out of here. Hello. So you're going to upload a resume. We do have some work samples. Your work sample requirements and limits is going to depend on your arts and humanities discipline. So I don't have all of them memorized on my head. We have some rough guidelines. But for all of them, the maximum file size is 400 megabytes, and the default maximum total submission size is 800 megabytes. So please keep that in mind when we're preparing work samples. So we can't have a 20-minute video uploaded that's it's not gonna get to the system. So do keep that in mind as we are going. For those of you who may be returning applicants, we do not have the option anymore materials to include a link to YouTube or Vimeo. It's going to have to be upload own file type. But all of those file types, image files, audio files, document files, and video files. For image, audio, and video files, most file types are going to be allowed. In the past, we've had some problems with especially images that your phone are usually a .heic file, and our old portal can't accept that and can. So most file types are going to be accessible, but do keep that size limit in mind, develop and curating your portfolio. You really want to focus in on the things you have. One thing that I do want to note here is that document files needs to be PDF. We are not going to accept any docs or notes or any other file type. The system will not actually let you upload them. We're going to need that to be a PDF. The file limit for videos is going to be this maximum total submission size of the 800 megabytes. That's going to be the maximum. All right. And just a note, if you want panelists to view your work, it must be uploaded in. We do not want a list of links. We do not want to direct anybody to outside sources or sites. It has to be in the portal. Then we also have support materials. So you've got your work samples, you have your support materials. And these are things that can serve to strengthen the application, provide additional information that directly relates to your work and practice. These do not replace a work sample. These are really there to help build a fuller picture of who you are as an artist. So some examples of this might be a contract for the past 3 years or the third 26/7 work that you have planned. It might be programs, it might be playbills, it might be news, it might be letters from parents or students, it might be a letter of support, it might be a proof of sale, it might be a mention in an interview, it might be all sorts of things. You do not need to solicit new products if you have them already. Have to run out after this and start asking all of your friends for a letter of support. It's really just materials you have. And they should also be related to the work due. Not all sample types. This is why we give a broad selection of suggestions. Not all work is going to get the same type of support materials. So a couple of things to keep in mind as you go. Review panelists are required to review your work samples. However, they are not guaranteed to review work samples beyond the recommended limits. It's going to be tough to hit because we do have that. You do want to clearly name and label or describe your work sample documents so that panelists can identify what you want to give us the information that we need to best understand your work sample or support material. Panelists are only reviewing within the 4 corners of the application expected to, nor are they encouraged to click on outside links or content. So seen by reviewers. More is not always better. You don't have information, really try to curate what you're submitting. All right, I saw a couple questions come through. So if you're a writer, do you not include books written more than 3 years ago? You can. You can absolutely include older work. If you've been working for a long time, do include that work. File limit for videos, 400 for an individual, 800 overall. How old can work samples? We want to focus really on the last 3-ish years. Work sample that's a long-term project. You've got a film you've been working on for 5 years, or a book you've been working on for 10 years or something like that. You can have something that started at an older time. We just want the most to have happened within the last 3-ish years. Specifics in the RFA. So just a reminder, really go read the RFA. That is for art forms. But you want to support materials can be older than the last 3 years, but we'd prefer it if they were more recent within the last 3 years. The CV can go back farther, but if you have something new, you're throwing something together, focus on the last 3 years. If a review or interview about something was online, should we copy the document, download it as a PDF, and upload it as a PDF? So to be clear, you cannot attach a document with links to YouTube. No, you're gonna need to download those videos. I might ask you to reach out to me about eligibility, Chris, just based on your work description. We can have a conversation online. And then I did answer the question about for a person who's in a theater project. All right. I'm gonna keep the portal. I'm just trying to keep an eye on time. So this is actually the biggest change here. Well, everyone, to the big thing. To access portal and to access the application, you're gonna go to our website, dcarts.dc.gov, on programs. You can go to grants. This is not exactly what it looks like. Under our programs, you'll find grants. And you'll scroll through that page for links, and there's a lot of informational resources there, including links to all of the required documents that we ask for. Also, links to our live chats and our workshops. I'll talk about those in a moment. There are fillable PDFs of all of the compliance document we're going to ask for, and then their portal, which is now submittable. So this is we have changed our grants portal into submittable. So we are hoping this will be clear for everyone. So a couple of things here. You will need to create an account with Submittable. It is free to join. You can save a draft. There is an autosave feature as you work through this. It should autosave as you go, but you can also manually save it as you work. There are a lot of portals or a lot of platforms that work really well. Follow up with the submission by email. Do double check and make sure that your submittable emails are not getting routed into spam. We have had that happen a lot of times in the beginning when you're first getting set up on a spam issue. But you do want to make sure that you are getting those emails. We will also the submittable platform. We can send messages back and forth through that platform. Oops, I went too far. When you log in, you will see a long list of applications. These are all of our currently open applications. So you're going to click Arts and Humanities Fellowship Project because you're in the Arts and Humanities Fellowship Workshop. If you are interested in any of our other grants, the guidelines and those programs are available here as well. All right. So when you log in and you start your application, the first thing we're going to have here is the eligibility questions. You're going to answer these first. These are going to be some important ones, like, are you an Arts and Humanities practitioner? Are you using your social security number? You can't take an LLC or an EIN. So remember, that's an individual. Resident, have you read the guidelines? Please do. And then you'll also find our program information contacts. You'll get my email there again. Once you have gone through that, you'll be into the application itself. All right. If you've already started your application, yes, it does mean that the submittable account is current. If you have we should be okay. I think we're okay on the whole emails, if you've got an organizational one as well, but we'll double check if we go. All right, portal stuff. A couple of things we're going to ask for as you go in here. Proof of residency. So we are going to want to see some kind of proof of residency. We have upped our requirements this year. It used to be just the driver's license. We are going to ask for multiple proof of residency. You may redact any sensitive information, but we are going to want to see things like a utility bill, something. We are going to ask for a certificate of hands used from mytax.dc.gov. And you're going to download a PDF of your certificate. And I want to highlight a couple of things about the certificate of clean hands here. We are going to, if you were awarded, if you are unable to get it by the grant deadline, that's fine. You can still apply, but do reach out to us in advance and let us know you're having a problem. We will give you guidance on what to do, and we'll also make sure that we follow up. If you have gotten a clean hands in the past, let's say anytime since April of 2020, and you have a clean hands form, you can validate it and not do the full application for a new one. So the way that works is on a clean habit here. I do. There's a notice number in the top end corner. It starts with an L, and then it's got several digits after it. You use that, the last four of your social security number, to validate a certificate of clean hands. So tax pay, go to the clean hands section. There's a very nice lady opening a door, and you would click on validate because there's request, validate, and learn more. You click on validate, you'll follow the prompts. It will give you a new updated certificate of clean hands. We use this throughout the year because we have to pull a clean hands multiple times. So the validation number or the validation route is really fast and straightforward. If you do this and it comes back as non-compliant, what that means is that you owe the government $100. That might be parking tickets, that might be something else. Not a big deal. Really, it's not. If you are pulling a non-compliant and you don't know what that is, but the deadline is coming down on us, and you upload the non-compliant form, we'll follow up with you and just see what's going on. Not going to stop you being eligible for anything like that. So yes, get your clean hands, update it as a PDF. And then as a reminder, do save and upload all grant application materials as PDF files. Submittable will not accept a different file type. Actually put in some restrictions on that. We do want your name and address consistent on application materials, and do reach out to us if you have any questions. So a couple of things here for timeline from application to award. We are going to, is due. We review the applications for eligibility and completion. Then we sort you into panelists are going to review and score your applications. You will take those to come up with a funding scenario. If you are awarded, you will on after November 1. This is another one. We have pushed that announcement date back to if you are awarded, you will find in November, and you will return and complete the required forms, and then we have this whole payment system process that we will walk you through. So let's not worry about that part right now. And then there is a review report at the year. Let's see, I had a couple of questions come through. If you have an LLC but do work as an individual, you're going to be applying as an individual. You can have an LLC. We just need you to apply for this under your SSA. That comes up every year. It is a government policy about this particular grant that it has to be paid to the individual. It can't be paid to an EIN. If you have not paid taxes in DC, if you have that, it should fine. If anything is going to be weird, we'll reach out to you and talk about it. Um, it's current, and then if your profile, make sure that it's your individual one. Right. So a couple of notes here about workshops. You are in the current workshop, the one 9th at a.m. Yay! We have 3 more workshops coming up. Next 4 p.m., Thursday the 18th at 2 p.m., and Friday the 26th at 10 a.m. The content is going to be the same in all of those workshops. I'm going to clean up a few slides here because I usually I make all of these and then the moment that we get into the room, I realize something is wrong, and then I have to go change a couple of, well, that's irrelevant. The content is mostly going to stay the same. You're more than welcome to join any of those workshops. You are also welcome to watch the recordings afterwards. There is no extra credit for coming to additional workshops. We do also have live chats. Wednesdays at 1:30. This is another change this year. We have moved them to Wednesdays at 1:30 p.m. These are open for all of our current programs. So if you are also working with an organization, we have the Capital Grant open now. The education grants are open short. Those will also be available. The live chats are very informal. There is no specific workshop or plan around them. It's really just a come visit, ask questions, or listen. Multiple grant managers will be on those calls and able to answer those. Excuse me. And also as a note, if you have the link for one of them, you go to event for it, you get a link. It will be the same link for all of those workshops. So like you have to register for the whole series. And a couple of really big rumors about the program. It is June 9th, which is fun and wonderful. We do have a few holidays that are going to hit during this open application period, and I just want folks to be aware of that because we will not necessarily be available. So DC government, including the offices of CAH, will be closed observance of Juneteenth on Friday, June 19th. We will also be closed for Independence Day on Friday, July 3rd. So the 19th and the 3rd, our offices will be closed. You will not get a return response from us until Monday. We will have limited availability on June 17th. That is an old training day for us, so we'll be around, but we probably won't be fast. So if you're calling us or something, you may not get a response from us for a while. We will be closed on July 3rd. We may offer an open office hours drop-in session on that day. Still working out details for that. But if we do offer that, we'll post it on Eventbrite, and that will be like with the live chats, just a drop-in session, online, virtual. You need to ask a question. We wanted to make that available. 7th is the deadline. If you do need in-person assistance with the application, for any reason whatsoever, please make an appointment with us. We do want to be available to assist you. Like I said, the June 17th date, we will be in service, so we won't be available to help. So we don't want anybody to make the trek all the way to our offices in Navy Yard and then nobody's here to help. Also, our staff is on a hybrid schedule. There's always somebody here, but if you're trying to, you're trying to find me and it's on one of the days that I'm not in this office at my desk, I'm really sorry, but I'm not there. So just make an appointment that, or, we can make sure that somebody is there to assist with you for anything. Staff is available to do reviews of applications. You can set up an appointment with any of us. We do have a deadline. We would like for you to get on our schedules at least 1 week before the application is closed. So reach out to us by close of business about 5 p.m. 1 week before the deadline, Tuesday, June 30th, so that we can get you scheduled. We want to have time that we can review your work, that you have time to act on it. So if you reach out to me on the day before its deadline and you ask for an application review, I'm really sorry. I'm not going to be able to do that. Not in a way that's going to be helpful for you, and not that's going to be really meaningful. I can do a check on that day and say, yeah, it looks like all your stuff is here, but I can't do the in-depth conversation. So a couple of big things there. Oh, that's right. I had it spin. So that is the majority. I'm going to answer a couple of these questions here. I have a song recently been using AI to assist me in preparing your demos. That should be explained in a couple of places. I didn't include this, and I should. As you are starting the application, there are two questions about AI. These are new, but these are also across the board in all of our applications. We are going to ask you if AI is used in the preparation of the application itself, and in the another question about any of the samples or work materials. Do disclose there. We have some explanations on that, but I will include that explanation in future iterations of this workshop. It should be disclosed there. You can also explain that in your work sample statement. So that is a place to do it. So two places. One is the two questions we have. Part of this is we are trying to gather information of AI is being used in our community. We have a survey out. I can find that link. And we also that you would disclose that in those two AI questions in the application, but you can also expand on it further in the work statement. That's where that would go. The work sample ID list, you can uh, you can list the items in one PDF document. We do have a chart for the work samples, originally designed around visual and design arts, but it can provide some additional clarity. You get all of those titles in there. That is really helpful for us to just kind of work through it and know what we're reading through. Use it as you see fit. Will these slides be available somewhere? Yes. I have to clean up a few slides. As I said, I found a couple of things here that I need to clean up, but after they are clean, I have them posted on our website, as well as the recording from today will posted on our YouTube channel. And do you have to submit 10 work samples? No, you don't. That is just our maximum. You do have to submit at least one. But then we can go from there. All right, I am going to stop sharing here. I'm also going to stop recording. And